Okay, so in this video I want to show you examples of some of the problems on the test review that has to do with combined radicals and fractional exponents. Here is the first example and show you how to do this kind of problems. Okay, so you're going to have different forms. So the top right here is radical form, and down here is rational exponent form. So we need to find a way to make them look the same. So the very first step for this kind of problem is to make sure that you convert the top part to rational exponent form so they look alike. So we're going to do that. We're going to convert the highlighted one to look like the yellow one to look like the green one. Okay, so let's try to do that. So I'm going to realize, or we're going to use the fact that this is a square root. That square root is the same thing as using a power of 1/2. So I'm going to raise everything at the denominator to a power of 1/2, like this. Okay, so this expression is the same. The numerator is like that, because when you see square root of any number, let's say number a is a to the power of 1/2. So it doesn't matter what's inside, it's just a to the power of 1/2. Okay, now we're going to apply the power to every single thing inside inside there. Okay, we're going to apply the power, so it will look like this: 4 to 1/2, x to 1/2, y to y third to 1/2. So y to the third power, everything to 1/2. And then we're going to try to simplify this. 4 to 1/2 is the square root of 4. So 4 to 1/2 is the same thing as the square root of 4, which is 2. So that's 2 right there. And then the x squared, x is going to stay as x to 1/2. And then this 1/2 is going to distribute, is going to apply to the 3 there. So 1/2 times 3 over 1 is 3 over 2. 3 over 2. So y to 3 over 2. 3 over 2 right there. Okay. Now let's try to clean it up. Should be 3 over 2. So that's the numerator. So now we're going to do the we're going to put that on top of the denominator. So let's copy it over here. Okay, so our next job now is to reduce the base to 1. So we're going to apply the rule. There's a rule that says that if you have division, that's a quotient rule. So if you have x to the power of a, x to the power of b, you would do x to the power of a minus b. So imagine that this portion is by itself. Then we need to, if this was x 1/2 and x 3/2, we divide in, then we need to subtract 1/2, 3/2 from 1/2. So let's subtract 3/2 from 1/2. Let's do the scratch work over here. So it will be 1/2 minus 3/2, and that will be negative 2. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. Negative 2 over 2, which is negative 1. So our x is going to be negative 1. The exponent for x will be negative 1. So now we're going to have 2x to negative 1. We're going to do the same thing for the y. We're going to subtract the exponent. So let's do the subtraction. So it'll be 3 over 2 minus 7 over 2. And that will be 3 minus 7 is negative 4. Negative 4 over 2 is negative 2. So y to negative 2. So now if you go back to the original question, let me remove all the scratch work. And then you can see the question clearly. The question says that we should rewrite this expression. We should rewrite this expression in the form of ax to the b power and y to the c power. So we are already in that form now. So this is like this form. Ax, if I compare this, it's like ax to b and then y to c. So in this case, my a, this is my a. That's my a. All right. And this is my b right here. This is my b. That's the b. And then this is my c. Another color. So this is my c. That's the c. So it's now saying it's in that form now. So I'm going to identify a and b. Let me just write them all out. So a is 2, b is -1, and c is -2. Now let's go back to the problem. The problem says to find the product. We're going to find the product of a, b, and c. So we're looking for product. Product means you multiply all of them. So I'm going to do a times b times c is the same thing as 2 times -1 times -2. And when you multiply this together, you're going to get 2 times -1 is -2. -2 times is 4. So the answer is 4. So if you are doing this problem online, all you need to do to type into that box down here is 4. And that will be your answer. All right. Now I'll show one more example, 2 more examples. If you wish to see more examples, just continue to play the videos. If you're done, just you can quit. Okay, here's another example over here. We're going to follow the same procedure, only this time it's not square root, it's cube root at the denominator. So we're going to keep the numerator because it's already in the rational exponent form, and then we're going to rewrite the denominator in as rational exponent form. So let's keep the numerator the way it is. Keep it the way it is. So 6x to -1/4 and then y to the second divided by, now I'm going to put every the radicand, the expression inside the root. I'm going to put everything to the power of 1/3. Why 1/3? No, 1/3. Why? Because if you remember, cube root of any number is that number to the power of 1/3. So it doesn't matter if it is a bunch of number, it just everything to 1/3. And now we're just going to apply the power to all of it. So let's apply the power to all of it. So the 1/3 we go to 8. The 1/3 will go to s cubed. The 1/3 will go to the y cubed. All right, so let's keep the numerator the way it is, still the way it is, 6 y squared, and then it's going to be 8 to 1/3. And now we're going to do 3 times 1/3. 3 times 1/3 is just 3/3, if you put 1 there, which is 1. So it's going to be x to 1. And then the same thing for y to 1, because it's 3 times 1/3 as well. So now we're just going to simplify some more. So the numerator is 6. And the denominator 8 to 1/3. This part is 2, because it's like you're taking the cube root of 8. 8 to 1/3 is really the cube root of 8, which is 2. Okay, so that denominator will be 2. Now let's go to the x. We're going to write 1x, 1 base for this x. Since we are dividing them, we're going to subtract. So we're going to subtract. Let's subtract. -1/4 minus 1. So let's put 1 over. And then make this one 4 times 4 times 4. So -1/4 minus 4 over 4 That will be negative 5/4. Because negative 1 plus negative 4 is negative 5. So the x will be negative 5/4. Negative 5/4. All right, let's remove all the scratch work from there. And now the y also will be the same thing. We're going to do the same thing. So instead of 1/4, so this is the y. We're going to do the y now. Let me highlight. We're going to do this one. So we're going to do y to the second divided by y to the y is just 2 minus 1. So it's going to be the exponent will be 2 minus 1, which is just 1 at the top. And now we're almost done. What we need to do is to divide the 6 and the 2, which is 3, x to negative 5/4, and y to the first power. So as before, this is my a, this is my b, and this is my c. So we're going to multiply all those together because it says find the product of a, b, and c. So let's find the product. That will be 3 times negative 5/4 times 1. All right, so 3 times negative 5/4 will be 3 over 1 times negative 5/4. So that will be negative 15 if you multiply the top by the top. Negative 15 over 4. So the final answer you're going to type in that box, in your answer will be negative 15 over 4. And that is the answer. Okay, this is the last example coming up. It does not involve a division. So this is more straightforward. All you need to do is to focus your attention on this one that is a radical form, and then try to change it to a rational exponent form, and then go on from there. Let's try to do that. So I'm going to keep the first part of the expression the way it is. Nothing is changing. All right, so that's the first part of the expression. And now I'm going to put parentheses and put 8, x to the 5th, y to the 5th, everything to the power 1/3, just like I've explained before. And then I'm going to apply the 1/3 power to every single expression item inside the parentheses. So let's keep the first part. Nothing is changing. And then this is going to be 8 to 1/3. Okay, this is multiplying them. And then x to 5/3, because you do 5 times 1/3. That's 5 times 1 is 5. And 1 times 3 is 3, 5/3. The same thing for the y to 5/3. Now we're ready to simplify finally. The 8 to 1/3, this guy over here is just 2. All right, that's 2, as explained before. And now because we are multiplying this time, we're going to apply the product rule. The product rule says to do this. If you have a to the power of n, a to the power of m, you do a to the power of n plus m. You're adding them together. So what we're going to do is we are going to add this exponent that I'm going to highlight. We're going to add this for x to replace that with 1x. Okay, just one base. So we're going to have x with a base, but we're going to add negative 4/3 plus 5/3. If you do this is easy. This is the same denominator. We just add the numerator together. It's just 1/3. So x to 1/3. Now we're going to do the same thing with y. So I highlight the exponent. Let's highlight the exponent in orange. So this is 1, and that is 5/3. You're going to do 1 plus 5/3. Actually, it's -1. Sorry, -1 plus 5/3. So put 1 over here, multiply by 3, multiply by 3. So that will be -3 over 3 plus 5 over 3. So that will be 2 over 3. So why we have exponents of 2/3. Now we got everything simplified to that form. This is my A, and this is my B, and this is my C. So we're going to multiply all those together. So that will be 2 times 1/3 times 2/3. Okay, so it's easier to, let's remove this scratch work. It's easier to just put everything over 1, the old number over 1. So it will be 2 over 1, 1/3, 2/3. 2 times 1 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 times 1 is 9. So this product is 9. And that's what you're going to type inside that box, and that is the answer. So that's how you work those kind of problems, trying to get them to the same form, rational exponent, and then you apply the properties of exponent. Okay, that's the end of the video.